frosty morning, it must be said, but a wonderful facility, and we'll just touch upon that briefly. Obviously, Simon Tyndall was your employer for a long while, and I mean it's a wonderful place to train horses.
Very much so. Been very lucky to be here as long as I have. I came down here nearly 10 years ago now from Newmarket, where I was assistant to William Jarvis. I was employed by Simon to train his horses solely and bring on his young horses as well. And then 2 years ago, Simon has calmed his sort of farming and his horses' interest down, and he offered myself and Georgie the yard to rent out. So we've been here 2 years as a couple running the yard. So yeah, going good.
And obviously, when you started, I mean, the first season was excellent. You operated at around about 28%, 7 winners, but 2008, 2009, just going back, casting your memory back to that season, a very memorable one, 51% the strike rate, 15 winners from only 29 runners. I mean, quite extraordinary.
Yeah, we were blessed that year. That was the year we had Letterman arrive. He was a sort of, I think he was fourth behind Denman in a Sun Alliance hurdle or something in Cheltenham. He was just class, and he found open racing very much to his liking, and he won 5. We had a couple of homebred mares as well. They won 3 or 4 each, and yeah, the season just, there was never a moment where anything went wrong. It was just one of those amazing times that we had to enjoy. And when the times are tough, you look back at those and you think, God, you know, we could just do a couple more days like that. So.
Very much so. You'd like every season to be like that. And for those that follow the winter sport, Nick, and the point-to-pointing, a lot of people associate Simon Tyndall with a very good grey. He's named Simon Sig. Just tell us a little bit about him, because obviously you had him to get going and break in and you know, bring on. And you were telling me earlier on that he was very, very close to running in a point-to-point in this country, but sadly enough for you, that never happened.
Yes, he was bred here, so I had him from day one. We broke him in as a 3-year-old, very straightforward. He did a lot of hunting locally as well. We had him ready to run. We schooled him around Penzance point-to-point after racing a couple of times, and he was on the lorry at Kingston Blank one day. And we decided that it was best to leave him on the lorry. It was just a touch quick for him, and he grew over the summer, sorry, into the next winter, and he showed enough that he needed to be moved on, as he was going to be a sales horse, because Simon's policy is the homebreds are for sale. So to get the best price, unfortunately, he went to Ireland, where he has done what he's done for Ian Ferguson, and but it's been great following his career. It's a very proud moment watching him on TV, I must admit.
I'm sure, and just going back to that, I mean, how much, like, what part of you thinks, golly, I would have loved to have ridden him in a point-to-point and seeing what he's gone on to do? But then I guess there's part of you that thinks, I don't have that stress perhaps, and he's gone on, done what he's done, and progressed.
I would have handled the stress, no problem, I'm sure, for a horse like that. But yeah, of course, we all want to be associated with good horses, but for that horse in particular, it was the right thing for him to do. And I'm sure a lot of my close friends would have told me I would have got him beat anyway if I'd have rode him. So, no, it's best for him to go where he went. And Ian is the most fantastic trainer of a young horse. And when he won his bumper, the champion point-to-point bumper at Fairy House, he was very impressive, I must admit.
Yeah, with Simon Sig going on to really good things, and obviously his career somewhat checkered, but hopefully he can get that back on track. He's with good hands anyway, Nicky Henderson, who is an excellent trainer. Coming more up to the present, last season was very good, 10 winners from 48 runners, 20% the strike rate, and this season has now got off to the best possible start. The first Southeastern meeting at Charing, a winner there for you. You ran a few, but nice to get the first one on the board.
Very much so, yeah. The horse Come On You, we bought him at the beginning of the summer, 2 summers ago. He won 3 of the first last year. He seems to like Charing. He's won there 3 times now. The owners are local to Charing, and all their friends are there. It's a good party at the boot afterwards, so they're very keen to have runners at Charing. And Sam Davis-Thomas gets on extremely well with the horse. He's not that straightforward. He's a little bit idle. He has his moments where he's off the bridle, and Sam is very good on him.
Nick, obviously you're very much somebody that can bring on a maiden very nicely indeed. You've done it time and time again, and look, from an outlooker looking in, that to me looks as if that's something that you pride yourself on, bringing on these youngsters. I mean, you'll take them from scratch and then bring them to point-to-pointing. That for you must fill you with immense pleasure when it comes off.
That's the biggest thing of my job, which I enjoy. I mean, you know, as anyone who trains race horses, pointers especially, knows, there's no, you know, we're not in it for financial reasons as such, but working with nice young racehorses is as good as it gets for me. Whether it be the pointers, which is my passion and sort of that's what I love, but the last couple of years as well, we've really gone into the pre-training and the breaking for some very good clients, and seeing them go onto the track and win maidens on the flat or over hurdles or bumpers is also very sort of pleasing for us.
And yet that then leads me very nicely on to the next question, because having wandered around the yard, you're looking at pedigrees such as presenting, publishers, and all these national hunt pedigrees, but as well as that, you cast your eye around and then you're seeing Medicians and you know, all these flatbred horses as well, Lawmans, and that then is becoming quite a big part. You were telling me that there was a nice association with Qatar racing as well, which has then led on to a few more clients.
Yes, very much so. Ollie Stevens, who I knew during my time in Newmarket, he was at James Fanshaw's at the time. We became good friends, and when he set up, not too far from here, training for Sheikh Farhad, he very kindly sent me a lot of pre-trainers my way, and that's how that business got set up. And following on from that, he sent on other owners from the yard who very kindly kept horses with me, and we've just sent some nice horses back to Sir Michael Stout, and horses to go back to Andrew Boulding and Brendan Powell, and you know, it's very rewarding, very rewarding.
There's plenty to look forward to with their progress then as well. You mentioned earlier on, obviously you're not here alone. Georgie's here, Georgie Strang, and for those of you that'll be watching this and are eventing people, she will obviously be a very familiar name. Having her here, Nick, must be paramount to some of the success, given that she's such an experienced horsewoman, and when it comes to getting horses to jump, clearly she can aid you in that respect as well.
Oh, very much so. The young horses, I do all the breaking, and then I sort of just hand them over to her for a few weeks, and she hands them back ready-made. I mean, they can pop into the bottom of a fence, they can go along, they can do anything that we ask them to. They're so clever once they've come back from her. And she's very good with the older horse as well. The older horse that's lost a bit of confidence or something, just take them in the school, give them grids and poles and all sorts. And yeah, it's a very, very handy part.
Yeah, I bet it is. And not just your racing career and as a point-to-point trainer, pre-trainer with racehorses. Just briefly, I mean, you're not exactly no good when it comes to the eventing either. You've had a bit of success. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Georgie had an old horse that was just being a bit of a pig-headed thing, and she sort of convinced me to give it a go. And yeah, I know I quite enjoy it. We've done okay, and then last year a friend of hers very kindly gave us a horse that she was having a few problems with, and I've won quite a few pre-novices on him and had a lovely ride around badminton on him last year at the grassroots, and yeah, no, it's quite good fun. I take a lot of stick for doing it, but I suppose when we win, I suppose the boys can't give me too much stick about it. So.
Indeed, very much the rewarding part, obviously being successful. And also, with the point-to-pointing then comes the hunting. And as well, I mean, we look around the house, we look around the yard and everywhere else. Hunting obviously a very big part of your life as well. Perhaps not so much now, given that you're so busy here, but I mean, that is something that you've got a huge passion for as well.
Oh, massively. You know, I'd be quite strong on my opinions of sort of the sport in general, but we can't lose our connection with hunting. We really can't. Without the volunteers of the hunt committees and things, our sport wouldn't exist. Hunts at the moment are going for a torrid time of things with antis and whatnot, and especially in the southeast we suffer very badly with that, and I wish I could come out hunting a lot more than I do, but unfortunately time doesn't allow me to do as such, but I do have the odd nice day up country with the Pytchley boys, having a bit of fun up there every now and again. But yeah, we've got a good bunch of people locally, some point-to-point people, the Cynthia Hayden people, Philip Hall, the Marshall family, and we're always out with the drag hounds or with any of the foxhound packs, and we have a great bit of fun as well while we're out.
We had a look around this morning, we saw them on the gallops. A few perhaps that you're looking forward to. You were telling me there's a really nice publisher horse that you rode this morning, who we had a really good look at, and well, to my relatively untrained eye, he looks like a very, very fluent mover indeed, and a horse that just floats across the ground.
Yeah, he's a cracking little horse. I've never bought stalls myself because I've always produced Simon's youngsters, so I had a trip to the stall sales in Ireland in the summer, and we bought 2 3-year-olds The publisher horse is just a cracking individual. Floats, as you say. He's a very nice jumping horse. If he was by a presenting, if he was by a Flemingsworth, we wouldn't have been able to have afforded him. But because he was by a slightly unfashionable sire, but he's doing nothing wrong, and I can see him running sort of April time, with a view maybe to sell on, unless one of my current owners wants to get involved, then he might make his way to the sales at the end of the season. But he's a cracking little horse.
We mentioned earlier on briefly Flora Bell. She obviously another one to look forward to. And you were telling me as well, Nick, that just the geldings, the mares, you're very much a man suited to the mares, and you seem to do very well with them indeed. And she looks a really nice type, and given that nice debut at Charing, she's one that looks to be able to progress quite nicely as well in the colours of Simon Tyndall.
Yeah, no, we've. I don't know quite what it is. I really don't. I rode a lot of mares when I was riding as well. I seemed to win on quite a few mares from Mrs. Tice. She tended to have a big string of mares, and also with the pre-trainers I seem to get sort of a lot of fillies. But she, particularly Flora Bell, is a mare I've been very fond of from day one. She showed a lot of quality from day one. Just like her sister, who's a horse I'd put up as a horse that I like a lot, Florella. She won the year before on her debut for me as a 4-year-old. Again, just a very nice family, and Simon has bred some cracking horses that we've had through our hands.
And we must just mention then jockeys. I mean, obviously you now have you've given up the riding part of things. I mean, you got to 100 winners, and that was that, done and dusted. The training career, perhaps you won't mind me saying, is going a lot better in regards to winners numerically than it is the riding career, but that obviously a good thing now. Charlie Marshall we've seen this morning, and also another young guy that's just joined you recently, Shane Roach as well. Just tell us a little bit about them.
Charlie's been coming here riding out for a while now, since he was just first started riding, and he's a good local boy. He works hard, he rides exceptionally well. And he's only going to improve now for a little bit more experience and riding better horses. Shane has been here a couple of months. He came to me from Susie Smith. He goes and rides out for David Phelan once a week as well, and we're trying our hardest to get him going. He worked for Sean and Donica Doyle in Ireland for a couple of seasons, and he's got bags of experience, as you can imagine. I think he told me the other day that there were 20 rides in Ireland. He rode, I think, 19 of them were 4-year-olds. He never rode a horse over the age of 5, so he can ride a young horse well.
They certainly start them young in Ireland, both horses and riders. Sam Davis-Thomas, is he very much a stable jockey? Is that the way you look upon that? Is that relationship, is he riding first string and that's that, or is it just the case that you like him, you get on well with him, and he will ride?
Sam's a good friend, and he knows how I like my horses to be ridden. We get on great. I'm very realistic that he's got a lot of other people to ride for as well, and a lot of people to keep happy, which isn't easy, as I know from riding. And they're Sam's rides. If he can come and ride them, great. If he can't, because he's committed to David Kemp or Tom Morgan up north a bit more, then we work around that. But Sam would always get first call, and then the rides go to Charlie and Shane. Philip Hall rides the majority of the Wilkins family horses, and Charlie and Shane will get their rides as the season comes on.
And does N. Pearce miss the race riding at all?
Yes, very much so. But there was talk of me maybe riding in the hunt race in a few weeks, but our hunt race is now amalgamated with 2 other packs, and it's become a hunt club race. And I'm a little bit too tight to spend 180 quid getting my full licence, so I think I'll put that on the back burner for now.
So perhaps one day, perhaps we might see back in the style, a charity race or something, perhaps be quite entertaining. Looking forward, Nick. Obviously, the season is obviously getting going, and you want to train plenty of winners. But in the long term, I mean, you're here, you're pre-training, you're point-to-point training. Is there ever that ambition to then take out a professional licence, or where do you see yourself in 5-10 years, perhaps?
I'd love to take out a licence, of course. I'm very ambitious, but I'm also very realistic. Encouraging owners in, and not having a good string of horses to start with under rules, I think, is a lot of trainers struggle in their first couple of seasons if you haven't got a good couple of horses to get you pumped out onto the map. And the pre-training business has picked up recently, and I'd be terrified of taking a big leap at the moment. I'm quite comfortable where we are and what we're doing, and I'd rather be successful at doing this than be struggling as a professional trainer. But if I did get a license, funny enough, I could nearly see myself more as a flat trainer than a jumping trainer. I take a big interest in the flat during the summer. I enjoy the pedigree side of it and things, but yeah, I would very much like to be a professional trainer in a few years' time, maybe.
And I mean, given what you've got here, obviously courtesy of Simon Tyndall, I mean, the facilities are second to none. Just talk us through them briefly. I mean, we've seen the Gallop, the schooling facilities are extensive, and obviously then you've got, you know, wash bays, walkers, and there's everything you'd need here to train professionally. So with that, if that ever happened, you're potentially in the right place.
Yeah, very much so. It's been a process. It wasn't all here when we started. Chris and Jenny Gordon were here training Simon's horses before I came, and obviously it was a very nice show when I arrived, and we've added and sort of brought things on as long as we've been here. The schooling facilities, we get the birch and I make the fences myself, and I take very good pride in all that. And you know, we try to school as much as we can. We school quite a lot, whether it be over the fences or whether it be in the school, or we've got a nice cross-country course, and we try to get as much done as we can, and we're always up for adding and bits and pieces to the farm to make it a easier place to train racehorses.
It most certainly seems to be the case. 56 winners currently, Nick, 22% strike rate, so things obviously going very well indeed. But listen, it's been a great bit of time to spend down here, it always is, and even though it was a frosty old start, things have now brightened up, the sun's poking out, and well, where else would you want to be? Nick, an absolute pleasure to come and see you down here and talk to you, and listen, very best of luck for the forthcoming point-to-point season.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'd rather be